Right, so what's in your energy today? Okay, so Spirit wants you to know we do have twin flame out here, but it doesn't have to be. It can be high-level soulmates. It can be friends, people, places, things. So just put it where it fits. If Spirit brought you here, just, put it where it fits. But we do have twin flame out here, okay? This energy was karmic to you, so you learned a lot of lessons that were more than likely very hard, okay? Perhaps it took you by surprise how hard these lessons were. I wouldn't be surprised if you've been through some quite hard things, but it was unlike anything else. I don't mean to laugh. I think it's otherwise the feeling I'm feeling is you would cry, but you've come through it. You're through the other end. Your energy's changed, and what's happened because your energy's changed, now you're pulling this person in, okay? And now this person wants to end this heartbreak and the distance between you, okay? And perhaps before it wasn't so the top of their priority, okay? Because your energy in their energy field was there, okay? The electricity was on and they didn't have to worry about it, but your light's gone, okay? They can feel it, they know it, and they're quite aware that you don't see them as your dream anymore, the way you once did. We've got true love out here. I just don't believe you're in that energy as much, at the very least. And of course, if it's friends, again, you've somewhat fallen out of love with them. I know it could be platonic, but you've put your love into yourself first. That's where or the divine, or both, hopefully. Okay, so this person doesn't want to keep it a secret anymore. So I don't know if perhaps these people or person was quite withholding. They didn't really tell you how they felt, or if they did, it was sort of drip-fed, breadcrumbing, so you barely knew where you stood. But this person's more than aware that they no longer want to keep it a secret, that they consider you their true love, and again, put it where it fits, that they love you dearly, if it was platonic. Okay, so we've also got surprise out here, butterfly. I think this person wants to surprise you. I think they want to apologize. They've got the wedding card out here, and it's not the first time. Okay, so this person's thinking about the next level with you, and they want to celebrate with you. But this will be a surprise to you, because we've got the Tower card here, but it's also a surprise to them. And what's surprising to them is that you've become this butterfly. You found your wings. When you were in their energy, I was going to say you were more caterpillar, but I also heard, no, you were just a little baby butterfly. So you only just found your little wings, but you've grown into a bigger butterfly now, and those wings are strong. You flew away and found yourself. You found your own love for yourself. You found the love for the divine. This was a surprise to them, and possibly you. But I think what will surprise you is them coming forwards, because we've got coming back here, and opportunities landed on top of surprise. So I think you'll be surprised to know how much this person truly feels about you. We do have a couple of star signs out, but as some of you may already know, I don't focus on them too much, just because we all have many of them in our chart somewhere. But we do have fire sign and Libra. But I ultimately feel like you found more balance now. Now maybe when you were this baby butterfly, coming out of that caterpillar status, you didn't have balance, because you were still learning how to flap, and perhaps you were walking around, flapping them sometimes and crawling other times. But now you're forced to be reckoned with, and they can feel it, and it's not close to them. Okay, this person very likely chose addictions over you, because we've got that here. They do have quite a jealous energy about them, because that card came out too. They may have some abundance of some kind, whatever that might be. Lots of confidence, the career they want, maybe some material stuff. But they do have issues with addictions, and again, that could be anything. They could be addicted to attention, they could be addicted to shopping, could be addicted to working, or they could be what we would call slightly lower vibrational addictions. But just put that where that fits. Spirit wants you to know, and they were a player, so they could have had addictions on that level, on that side of things. God is looking after you. Spirit wants you to know this. And we've got 2 God cards out here, because this card to me is the God card. I honestly think you sort of replace this heartbreak. It's upside down because in the case for you, it's upside down because you've overcome it. But I can feel when I was pulling the cards, they want this heartbreak to end. They want this long distance to end. Okay, especially now you don't sort of see them in your future. They can feel it. The electricity is gone. And that's why we got the coming back card. They're feeling the sad and the loss. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a twin flame or a high level soulmate, and that can be platonic or romantic. I wouldn't be surprised if you can feel that sometimes. So be aware of that. If you find your energy dropping or and things like that, just, you know, ask Archangel Michael to look after you. Yeah, so this person's not feeling okay, and again, I do feel like you could be picking up on that energy, and the reason why not only are they not okay, but because they didn't expect you to grow into this big butterfly with these wonderful, gorgeous wings that are strong, and I feel like your wings are so strong it sort of changes the wind current. I don't even know if those are the right words, but I feel like you're changing atmosphere and their atmosphere, and they're very surprised you don't need closure. They're very surprised that you grew these wings. They're very, you know, all of it's a bit of a shock to them. And maybe you too. Maybe it just happened all of a sudden. All of a sudden, you broke out of this pain. All of a sudden, your butterfly wings became huge, and you could travel distance, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Yeah, so contentment is yours. It came up sideways, so I do think I might be tapping into somebody where sorry, I didn't say that, but okay, I'm going to go with both messages because I never think things like that are a mistake. It says confidence in years, so I think you are stepping, now you found your wings, you realize you have wings, you realize people probably undermining you and breadcrumbing you because they saw you had these baby wings and possibly thought, let's make sure she doesn't know about those before they get too big and I feel uncomfortable, because I'm already feeling uncomfortable. But it's on the side, and I thought that was contentment. So I feel like you might still be working through understanding this new status you have where your butterfly wings are huge, and I'm using that analogy from Spirit because it's about transformation. Your transformation is larger than you realize. I think maybe although it was a shock, you're still sort of getting used to it, or you don't understand the kind of level of transformation you've made, and it's a surprise possibly to you, but more to other people because you're in it. You're not recognizing quite how big of a deal it really is, but it's because you learned the karmic lesson. You chose yourself and the divine. Yeah, so you doing this essentially stood up to them, and it says you stood up to the big bad wolf. It makes me feel like this person was possibly karmic. Okay, they behaved poorly. They wanted to keep this addictive lifestyle, possibly huge ego energy going, have you as this baby butterfly that they can just put in a jar and come back to later, but your wings literally bust the jar open and you left. Okay, so that's the feeling I get, like they're surprised, they didn't even know that was possible, but you did it. You broke whatever sort of mind control matrix they had over you, and now they have to learn that they need to grow up, because you're not going to go back into that jar. There's no jar that fits how big your butterfly wings are. Okay, but they're very aware that you don't need them. Perhaps before they thought, you know, she loves that jar, she needs that jar, all I need to do is poke some holes in it and, you know, put a little bit of plant stuff in there and she's fine. But you found other ways. Yeah, so now the energy's changed, your energy's changed, and yes, it might be, you might dance a little bit because, you know, you might do a big like fly. I don't know if you would call that. You fly with your butterfly wings and you stop and you have to sort of rest, and you're just like, oh my god, like I just traveled miles, and I'm talking energetically and spiritually. And when you're resting, maybe you're like, oh, can I carry these butterfly wings? Something of that. It's sort of but you will develop more confidence, you will develop more contentment the more you get used to these huge butterfly wings that you've grown. So yeah, you're essentially with in energies, or a twin flame soulmate, put it where it fits, and they were stuck in their ego. And by you staying small as you were at one point, sorry, spiritual burp, you were sort of enabling their ego. They didn't have to think about their ego in the way that they are now, but they do recognize they should have. They're sorry they couldn't have. They weren't who you needed them to be, and they also know that they need to treat you better. And we've got the sorry apology card out here, and wedding. So they know that they have to come in big or not at all, is the energy I'm getting. And it says your energy is intoxicating, it's pulling me in. It's your butterfly wings, it's your spiritual divine butterfly wings. This is an analogy, of course. They've become huge, they're big. I'm feeling like, you know, as big as a town. Energetically, you've got some real gravitas, is what I'm feeling. So, and these wings, I'm going to go with that analogy because Spirit gave it to me. It's destroyed their ego, and many people's ego. It's sort of broke that weird matrix. Okay, so we've got another true love card out here, 2 true love cards out here. So it definitely could be a romantic situation, you know, like double confirmation for those who are tapped in for something romantic. But I do still believe it could be platonic energies that you truly love, and you have soul connections with them, with karmic contracts involved. It says greatness is yours there. So I think that goes to here, you know, you will be feeling more confident than you have done in years, and greatness is yours. Yeah, and you've done all of this with a very pure heart, okay? But you did have to end some situations. It's basically the situations in your life that weren't truthful to who you are. You know, you were accepting things that weren't of your value. They weren't of service to you. Not that you go around sort of like, well, can you be service of me? But it's more you were accepting less than you deserved, and you weren't recognizing the truth about that, but you have done now. And you called an ending to lots of situations, and that's when your butterfly wings started to grow. It was like it was part of the journey. Yeah, so these people try not to think about it. Twin flame wants to come back, so another twin flame confirmation. And they're starting to know it's their fault, but that's because you've moved away, your energy's moved away. Yes, you might think about it, but you're not holding on. Perhaps there was a time you're just like, oh, I really hope they choose me. I really hope we can get married. And if you were married or something like that, you know, they finally give me what I deserve. But you gave up on that and gave yourself what you deserve. And I think it says you're a divine teacher. I think you became your own divine teacher. You taught yourself how to grow those wings. You taught yourself through God, of course. You know, can't take all the credit. You became your own advocate, your own best friend, your own everything. Everything that you were sort of looking outside for, you did yourself. You stood up for yourself. You stood up, I heard, for the divine. Yeah, so it could have involved good friends, and I feel like possibly people you considered good friends, but didn't meet you where you needed them to be at the very least, and possibly could have been better. If not, they weren't that great, but put that where that fits. It was fate, I just saw. It was fated for you to meet these karmic contracts. It was fated for that to happen, so you eventually transform and have this metamorphosis and become who you are supposed to be. I'm not excusing anything, but the feeling I got when I was pulling it out at first, you know, this was a painful karmic lesson. And, you know, that's not to be sort of undermined and sort of like, oh, well, you know, it's just great because yeah, it is great. You became who you are supposed to be, but I do appreciate things can be very painful at the same time, but that change sort of needed to happen. And perhaps Spirit had to create the environment to be as harsh as it was, because otherwise you wouldn't have found your wings. And again, please don't think I'm being like enabling anything that, you know, just there's certain things that just shouldn't happen, you know, like they're not fair, they're not right, they're abusive and all of those things. But you've grown, you became who you're supposed to be. And it's not because it's not like, well, I did nothing, it was just the divine and all these karmic lessons. No, there's been lifetimes you've been here and you didn't do it. The stars here, there has been times you didn't do it. You stayed a small butterfly, and people stepped on you. No one can step on you now. They can't even reach your wings. And you haven't always, not every lifetime you've healed. You did this lifetime, and that was fate. It's flashed out, okay? Messages for the collective, please, Spirit, and God's will. Yeah, God is everywhere. You've got a few God cards here, okay? So I'm tapping to someone very divine. So, yeah, essentially, maybe if you feel like, oh, I don't go around going, oh, I love myself. I chose myself. I just love myself. If that's not your energy, which is nothing wrong with it, if it is or it isn't. But perhaps you started off with peace. You just recognise where your peace wasn't, and people who were interrupting your peace, being brought to the friends, maybe that without realising that's just what was happening. Okay, so we've got fame out here, so that does make me, and we've got the divine again, so lots of divine cards, and we've got wealth, so that could be part of your future, or part of your life right now. For me, those cards don't have, obviously they can mean those things to some people, but they could also mean success in yourself, success in making your life work. Wealth for me can be well-being. Again, making yourself work. They're good cards, but just put it where it fits, because not everybody wants to be famous, and not everyone wants to be have more wealth than necessary, but there's nothing wrong with it if you do. We have got love out here. Yeah, so I think you're just getting healthier and better all around. Anything else, Spirit? Yeah, I saw that flash out a lot, and it's come out for a few days. Focus on having fun. Maybe you're being a bit too serious. Cheer up is here. Obviously, if you are going through something right now and you're tapping in, that vibration might feel a little bit, like far away right now. There's a bit of a gap. You've been flapping your wings, and now you need to rest, and you're tired, or you're hurt, or something like that. But Spirit wants you to know you will have fun and you will cheer up. In due course, if you're not in that energy right now, but if it's an easier leap to go to before you start dancing on the streets with your massive butterfly wings, peace would be a good place to start. Just start simple, start with peace to help your vibration if you are dipping. Yeah, you're on a magical adventure with your beautiful divine butterfly wings. Yeah, and the energies you've left behind are devastated. Maybe they deluded themselves. I saw nap. They slept on you. They believed you would never find your wings. They thought you're in that jar. And now they sort of have to reevaluate everything. And their ego in particular. Anything else, Spirit, for the highest good of all? Yeah. It says moth to a flame. So I do think earlier I was feeling light. You do have a massively bright divine white light about you. You may emanate light. Perhaps people have even said it to you, and people are envious of that light. Okay, so, and if and when you haven't done that shadow work, you are going to put something like that in a jar or tread on it and things like that, and that's what you were around, and you were sort of treated poorly enough for eventually for you to break free of the jar with the help of the divine. And find those wings and use them. Yeah, you're protected. A lot of God cards here. Okay, so you're very blessed. Spiritual lesson learned. Okay, you've done it. It's done. But now what's happening is, particularly with the twin flame or soulmates, your energy is more enticing than ever. Okay, because they know with those wings, you don't need them. You don't need some, like, I'm sort of feeling like they don't have wings, or their wings are dark, or they haven't got any light to offer you, so they're worried. Got a fire sign out here again, because your vibration, if you want to put it as vibration rather than wings, in case it's like that's just too pretty of an analogy for you, yet your vibration is sort of out of their range at the moment, but it's pulling them in because it's their job also to twin flame again. 3 twin flame cards. They didn't think you could do this. They didn't think you could break the bond, break the jar, find your wings, make your vibration at this level. And I wouldn't be surprised if I'm tapping into someone and I don't feel like my vibration is that high. It's because you're in it, okay? It's because you're in it. What's that, Spirit? Oh, they love you. And I think you possibly love this person too, or love these people too, but you love yourself more, okay? And there was a time you didn't love yourself more. Or if you did always love yourself, you love yourself even more. Enough to leave situations behind that are breadcrumbing you, undermining you, not giving you what you deserve, selfish, quite happy for you to live in a jar, barely feed you, barely look after you in any way, neglectful. It feels neglectful. Maybe it took you a while to wake up to that neglect. You know, it was performative. Maybe some of these people had big smiles and a nice compliment here and there, and you know, you were taken aback. Yeah, these people didn't recognize how protected you were. They're devastated that you could be of some kind of like prophet status. Obviously that can be quite extreme for some people, but you know, you could have prophetic dreams, downloads. You work with the divine. I suspect a lot of these people knew this, but maybe what's happening is the spiritual lesson that has incurred as a result of you transforming. Now they can see it. They didn't before, because you were in their energy. You're not in their energy. You're not in their energy field. They're in your energy field on the periphery, but there was a point where you were sort of submerged in theirs. No, it's the other way around. They're desperate to get into your energy. Yeah, they understand now. I saw that before. Got another missing you card. I think I'll move here. Let's see what that is, just in case. Yeah, so they're wishing for you. Let's go here. Which I saw divine feminine. So we've got twin flame, divine feminine, divine, God, protected. So, you know, this is a very spiritual situation going on here. I think I saw Libra or Leo just then. Please allow the messages to fly out in God's will, Spirit. And I pulled out a card, all is well. So please do your best to stay in that energy. This could have involved a friend that was like that, which is upside down. So somebody who you're no longer friends with, or you recognise it was no longer good for you, or you weren't helping. You know, sometimes karmic lessons don't have to be some huge thing. It can just be you grew apart. You know, some things, you know, those butterfly wings of yours don't fit around them. You know, they're still living in jars, small little jars. You can't get close to them. Do you see what I mean? I saw Pisces and Cancer flash out, another Cancer, but again, it could just be some people that are in emotion, since it's water signs. Yeah, so I think that you were dealing with people. It doesn't have to be, and don't focus too much on star signs unless you want to, but you know, it's neither here nor there really, because it's just energy. You could have been involved with people that are so stuck in their ego. They never wanted to look like they're wobbling. They always wanted to look like they're in control. Lack of vulnerability. Didn't want to show that, you know, they're hurt, that they've lost things, or, you know, like, or lost connections, or, you know, just very egoic. But now they don't have your magnetic energy around them, your protected energy around them. Now they're drowning in their love for you. I doubt you even want to be friends with this person if it's a lover or ex-lover. That's too many, Spirit. Let's see what it says though. Yeah, so they didn't know that you had spiritual gifts. Tell me more about that, Spirit. I still feel like they did, but they didn't. I don't think they knew how protected they were, or what it truly meant that the divine is working with you. I've got Taurus out here. How strong you were, more maybe. I just saw Taurus again. Divine masculine out here. There's definitely a twin flame involved here. Yeah, people that were using your energy. We've got family here. I think you have people in your energy that were pretending not to be envious of you in some way, and unfortunately it could have something to do with a love interest. But it's just because they're insecurity, you know, they just haven't done that work yet. And hopefully one day when I saw the grow up card, they'll realise, you know, there's no reason to be envious of anyone else. God gave you your life. And, you know, if you trust that and work with that, that's enough. You know, like the ladybird isn't any... the butterfly isn't any better than the ladybird, you know, like it's preference. Some people don't like butterflies, some people love ladybirds, you know, like God's made both. And I think you were dealing with people that hadn't recognized that, you know, that through insecurity. I saw another fire sign flash out. Okay, so these people could be coming back awakened, but Spirit wants you to know they're not as awakened as you, but you've led them to Spirit, whether you meant to or not. They think about higher power in a way that they never have before. I'm being brought to drowning. I feel like, you know, obviously if one... obviously they're not physically drowning, but when one is in that situation, or any kind of very sort of difficult, scary situation, often people say, God help me, God help me. So I feel like it's on that kind of energy, like they have to think of higher power, and for some reason it's got something to do with you. It's about your involvement. Anything else, Spirit, for the highest good? That's too many, Spirit. Did you... Yeah, so... yeah, people are annoyed that you're blessed, or just and that you destroyed their ego somehow. Perhaps you were destroying their ego even when you're in this baby butterfly caterpillar status without recognizing it, because they're in this comparative mode. You know, they're not seeing their own blessings. God doesn't just bless some and not others, and some blessings aren't what the 3D matrix tell you are the things. You know, not everyone wants to get married, be really wealthy and have children. You know, that's kind of like what you're sold as the dream. That's not everyone's dream. Some people's dream is to help people and in the community and go to church, or set up a little business, and they're content with that. You know what I mean? So it looks different for different people, but if you're content with what you're doing, you are blessed, or you're content with whatever situation. And you know, sometimes people can I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if I'm tapping into some people that have had a difficult time, and rather than letting it define you, it's refined you. You allowed whatever challenging hardships to make you better, and people found that difficult. You know, like they usually maybe come across people that have gone through some things, and it doesn't have to be that, but something of that, and they allow it to break them, or which again, that's their journey, and it will move more than likely. But yeah, you gave things to God, so you kept on being blessed in a way that was annoying energies that were insecure around you. And I do think it has to include this twin flame. Yeah, they didn't want you to know that they're in competition with you. Got Gemini out here, a lot of star signs showing out today. Yeah, you're psychic if you didn't know, which I'm sure you do if you are. Anything else, Spirit, for the highest good of all? Yeah, they did. Maybe you have been psychic for a long time, but when it came to people that you love, it wasn't really sharp. And it wasn't... the reason why Spirit made it that way is because if your wings hadn't developed, maybe it would have broken your heart in a way you wouldn't have recovered. So it's almost like the veil got lifted properly and truly once Spirit knew those wings were going to get so big any minute. You know, you knew you would be able to fly away, but before that, perhaps, you know, you were perhaps too wounded to, you know, for it to happen then. to truly recognize that you were around energies that possibly didn't want the best for you. And even though it comes from them, it's their own insecurity, it's nothing to do with you. I think it could have broken your heart to recognize that their love was different to what your love was for them. You could have had a father that's selfish, or somebody who's in a father role that's wounded. This could have impacted you. Again, it doesn't have to be father. Families come out though, and families upside down because they probably weren't who they were supposed to be to you. Yeah, they're a covert narcissist, if not a full-blown narcissist. And if that doesn't resonate, because you know not everyone is a narcissist, traits, okay? Yeah, you've created karma here. We've got Scorpio. Again, I think you've ended this situation, but that star sign, it could, you know, it could, yeah, there's a lot of energies planning to come back to you, okay? I think your twin flame wants to come back to you. I think some soulmate friendships want to come back to you. I think some family members want to come back to you. They don't want to feel this loss. The energies change now. You've evolved. Leo's out here. So we've got a lot of star signs. Cancer just showed. Divine feminine, divine masculine. Yeah. Yeah, you're starting to trust the process more now. And if you're not, you're being asked to. And again, follow your fun, follow your bliss, follow your peace. It can look small, just stay in the moment, hold on. Yeah, and the angels look after you, okay? Spirit wants you to know that. Yeah, so perhaps you're in some sort of love bombing energy, people around you being performative, pulling the wool over your eyes. And in some ways you were pulling the love over your eyes. Yeah, I think you're pulling your own love for the other over your eyes like wool, so you couldn't see what the truth was, which was these people possibly didn't want the best for you, and it was because of them, not you. But that perhaps you needed to get to that stage to recognize that you were absorbing it as though it defined you in some way. No, it doesn't. What people do to others is about them. It doesn't define your worth whatsoever. Yeah, so these people want teamwork with you now. They want to make a small offer. I don't know if the little cup is going to do anything personally. Yeah, so now these people feel out in the cold. I wouldn't be surprised if they made you feel like you're out of the cold. But you're much more stable now. High Priestess is out here, and that goes back on the psychic energy. You found you've come out of this energy that they wanted you in. Now they want the teamwork. Now they want to do the offer, to do the right thing. But you found your own grounding. That's why we've got 4 Pentacles here. You know, you're much more stable now. You recognise your intuition, and you're on your way to good luck. It was fate, it was fortune. That's why we've got the fate card out here. Yeah, I think you could have been around people that were performative is the energy I get. You know, performed like they love you. So you were there giving them an upright cup, and they were giving you a cup upside down. So that's why you never felt full. So yeah, there is a cup, and it's like spirit wouldn't let you see it was upside down. That's why you're thirsty. That's why you're hungry, because it's just performative. Yeah, it's theatre. It looks like it. It looks like a cup. It is a cup. But it can't do anything for you. It's upside down. I better stop at 3322 on the clock. Yeah, they cause delays for you, and don't get too pressed up. And I wouldn't be surprised if you were dealing with an upside down emperor that was interested in Queen of Wands upside down, which makes me feel like that player energy. They want attractive people that don't know their worth, and maybe you were in that energy to some degree. I don't really feel like it, but that's what they wanted you to be, because they're an upside down emperor. Yeah, don't get too focused on, you know, like I should have learned this lesson ages ago. I should, like, that's a Leo strength card here. But it happens when it happens, and like I said before, and I've said sometimes in other videos when energies like this have come through, you spent many lifetimes and you didn't do it, okay? You stayed as that butterfly. I'm sorry, you stayed as the baby butterfly. You stayed as the caterpillar. And maybe there's other lifetimes you became the butterfly, but you weren't flapping your wings. You weren't as strong as you are now. Anything else, Spirit, for the highest good of all? Better close out, really. Yeah, so you've moved on. You've become the star. You're healing. I keep seeing strength cards. Yeah, you're moving on. 8 of Cups. Yeah, You're stronger than what these people wanted you to be, which was in a jar. Yeah, they wanted you all tied up and bound up. You've moved on from this energy. Unfortunately, this is the energy these people wanted you to keep you in, and you possibly were. 9 of Swords, 8 of Wands, sorry, 8 of Swords and 5 of Cups. I mean, very uncomfortable energy. Of course, you were going to you were going to transform and, I don't know if I'm going to say it right, metamorphosize out of that. Yeah, you'll know what I mean. Spirit knew you were stronger than that. There was only so long you were going to carry on staying in that jar. But just be wary that you were around people that were happy for you to stay in that jar. They wanted you in this energy. You know, that's very insecure, low vibrational people to want that for other people, especially when they think they, you know, they're saying things like love and care and that kind of thing. But that's not hidden from you. That's why the moon is upside down. You were for a while, and it's causing you conflict. It's like, why am I not getting full? I see the cup. I see the cup, not recognizing it's upside down. Okay. But divine judgment was called. You're moving on to your good fortune, your psychic abilities. You're going to be more stable. You found your strength. Yeah, and you've got your sword up now. You're not going into any conflicts, and you're just healing, sun, happiness. You're good. Victory. Come on. Does it get better? I don't think so. Right. Okay. I think that's done. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Thank you for looking after myself and the collective. Thank you for your protection for myself and the collective. And thank you, viewer, for being here. So mote it be.